What's up, everyone? Brandon here from Gearist. This is Arron. This is grit number 14, and we're in the same spot. And
Oh, that was rad.
holy crap! Oh my god! So, Lord, hey. So first, welcome to Gearist, grit number 14. What are you drinking?
I've got a upslope local Boulder, Colorado hazy IPA.
So, fun fact: Upslope Christmas Ale, greatest beer on earth. It's really fantastic. Very difficult to find, but spectacular. It's like Christmas in a can. It's also got candy cane stripes. I'll put a picture because look, we're not recording this the way that we usually do, so we'll be able to put a picture directly into it. So, guys, Arron is here in Colorado. What's up, man? Welcome.
Thank you.
You
It's
bet.
been a blast. Thanks for
Good.
hosting.
Yeah. So we're going to talk today. We're going to talk about some of this stuff behind us. Gear here. We got a few things to talk about. We're going to comment on the. I haven't tried this. I'm drinking the Key Lime Pie Nitro Sour Ale with lactose, lime, vanilla, and cinnamon from Left Hand Brewing Company, which is about 3 miles that way. This way, over here. Yeah. So, so we're both drinking local brews. So grit, here's the kind of point of grit. If you're just joining us for the first time, please don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, comment, all those things. Let us know what's up. And so the reason that we are here on grit is because Arron, this guy right here, is running the 2022 Leadville Trail 100 in Leadville, Colorado. If you're not familiar with that, just Google the Leadville. That's right, Leadville Trail 100. Very famous race, made kind of iconic, depending on who you ask, by the book Born to Run, written by Chris McDougall back in 2008. And he's running it. I'm going to be doing some pacing and stuff like that, and hopefully not letting him down. Just kidding. That's not going to happen. And Arron came out, so he lives in Virginia Beach. Grit is about not just getting from the finish line to the start line, but getting to the finish line, because he's a dad with 3 kids under 10. I'm a dad with 2 kids, one that's 12, one that's not quite 2. He'll actually be 2 in about 2 weeks. And that's the grit part, right? Kind of putting one foot in front of the other on day-to-day stuff, right?
Yep. It's that relentless forward progress.
Relentless. So, let me try this real quick. Hold on. Ooh, that's delicious.
Is that key lime pie
It's
in a
kind
can?
of desserty. I don't know if it's key lime pie in a can. There's no crust. To be fair, from our hand here. So anyway, pardon this microphone that's sitting right in front of us. We were kind of trying to figure out the audio situation. I hope you guys can hear us well and all that kind of stuff. So before we talk about really kind of the gear behind us, so we've got the new Norvik glass from 100% right here, which is pretty awesome. We've got the WAW, the WAW, the Bad Fish by WAW Handplanes. We're talking about that, and a little bit of skincare product from Zealios. Before we talk about that, let's kind of see where we're at this week. So prior to coming here, we talked about it last week. If you're not, again, familiar with the show, check out last week. What are you hoping to get out of coming here?
I was hoping to get a lot of gain, elevation gain, a lot of elevation, so not just going up, but going up at elevation.
Yep.
And a real understanding of what it's going to be like running in Colorado.
Yeah. All right. And so far, and I gotta keep hitting this button. Sorry, guys, but my screen keeps like going dead, like after 5 minutes. So I'm gonna assume that we're recording this. So thus far, day 1 was yesterday.
Yep.
So Thursday, June 16th, and Arron got in, and we not immediately.
We were at your house for maybe 10 minutes.
And then we went for a run.
Yeah.
So we're actually on my front porch right now. And so Arron and I decided to go to a place I may have mentioned before, called Picture Rock. And I thought, and still think, it's a good idea, like when you get to a place, especially when there's a big elevation change like that. And frankly, even when you're going down, so like we're right now at 5,000 feet-ish, right? So 5,050 feet, I think, is what the actual altitude is where we are. And I am going, am I right?
I don't know. My watch says 5538.
Sure. I don't think that's right.
I'm sure it's not.
So I'm actually going to sea level to the Outer Banks soon, and when we're there, I mean, obviously we're losing pretty much all 5,000 feet,
and more.
And
maybe.
no, we're probably underwater. So one of the interesting things for me personally is I go places like that, living here, and it obviously fitness notwithstanding, but I go places like that. And I'm like, I am a golden god, and you go and you start to do whatever your workout is, right? Whether it's cycling or swimming or running, and the problem that I have is I push too hard.
I'm gonna be real honest. That today we started at what 10,000 feet,
something like that,
and got up to 12.
Yep.
I hadn't breathed.
Sure.
Breathe.
Broth. Let's go with broth.
I haven't panted that hard 15 minutes into a run in a very, very long time.
So if you don't know Virginia Beach, there's no elevation. I mean, your elevation is like, oh, we have to go over this dune or a possible speed bump.
At my house, it sits at -7.
-7. Like, he's getting elevation gain by going to the second story. Oh, sounds like fireworks over here. Anyway, but when you're there, you don't have elevation gain, right? So coming here, that was I think part of your goal, right? As you said, and finding that, and I think we were up. I mean, very quickly. Like inside of a mile, we were up 600 feet.
Yeah,
today.
I think in the 7.5 miles today, I got just about 2,000 feet of gain.
Yeah,
and that's as much gain as I've gotten all year.
Yeah,
probably at home.
It can be pretty brutal. But the first day, what we did was we went to Picture Rock Trail, which is, if you're familiar with Colorado, or you're from Colorado, or you're thinking about visiting, you're looking for trail. Picture Rock is actually part of the Heil, H-E-I-L, I think there are 1 L or 2 L's. Anyway, Heil Valley Ranch trail system. And for the past 2 years, part of that system has been closed due to the fires that took place October, I want to say, of 2020, maybe. The East Troublesome Fire and the Calwood Fire kind of closed down a lot of Heil Valley Ranch. But Picture Rock, being the north end of that, has been open for a bit. And so, ironically, the same day, so yesterday, the more southern part of that reopened for the first time in 2 years. But we were just trying to get in a quick 5. Went up, I think we did a little over 2.5, so it was like 5.5 or something like that. What did you think?
So from where I live, where I have to find elevation, it was incredible to go from your car, and within 20 paces you start an incline of 2.5 miles.
Yeah. And it's that trail in particular where we went. We could have kept going, and it would have all been uphill. And we went 2.5 miles out and kind of just flipped it.
But yeah, I mean, it was wonderful, because for me it was, okay, this is 2.5 miles uphill.
Yep.
Straight uphill. I'd say straight uphill. It was a very gradual but
doable.
We ran the whole time.
Yep.
Stopped to look at some
the cabin thing.
The cabin thing. I want to say gopher, but a prairie dog hole. Check for some rattlesnakes, which I don't believe live here, because I haven't seen one yet. It's been 2 days. I haven't seen a rattlesnake yet, so I think they're all fake.
So, right, you guys, if you don't listen, follow me, by the way. Follow this guy, Arron, on Instagram. A-R-R, 2 R's, not 2 A's. Arron Garrett on Instagram. Me, Gearist, on Instagram as well. And you can see, like, recently, in the past week, I've been like, oh, well, there's a rattlesnake. There's one trying to kill this thing.
Yeah.
And what they do is they hide. There's a lot of prairie dogs here, so the prairie dogs dig the holes or what have you. The rattlesnake will go and hang out inside the prairie dog holes. So the prairie dog comes up. He's like, I'm just going to go home and have a key lime pie nitro by Left Hand Brewery. And he walks over, and the rattlesnake's like, bap, and that's that, So he was very eager to see one. We're doing a different run on Sunday where you might see one. So we'll see.
Yeah.
So in terms of like the type of trail, I mean, I don't know what what did you expect from that? Because you hear me talk about it all the time, and you've run in Utah.
Yes,
quite a bit. Right?
I've done the mountain scene before.
Yeah.
This isn't Utah. anybody who's in Utah, Colorado's not Utah.
Yeah.
For all you Coloradans, you're not Utah. So East Coast.
Yeah.
Very soggy, rooty, peaty, sandy. Not a lot of groomed rocky trails.
Yeah. Dry.
So you have they're not clay. They're like hard packed. Mm-hmm. Is it clay?
There's
sand,
clay. It's
sand?
No. It's kind of like, so what it was where we are was an inland sea.
Okay.
In the Pleistocene, I think.
A long time ago.
A long time ago, there were creatures that were not hominids, and so a lot of where we are right now, you'll find there's a lot of dinosaur bones here from after that or before that. Anyway, so it's kind of like what would happen if you dried out much of the ocean.
Okay.
Actually, so it is kind of muddy, clayey in places.
It's a firm, groomed. I'll say what yesterday was a lot of single track.
Yeah.
I'll call that single track. I mean, you're talking trail, you know, 2 to 3 feet wide.
Yeah.
Some technical sections, but nothing where I felt I need to be staring at the ground 24/7.
I will say, so as somebody who runs here all the time, yes, but also that's a good way to find the baby heads and just eat it, because they are like,
yes.
Surprise.
Yeah. So, AT Trail.
Yep.
Western Virginia, West Virginia, like routes are all over, all day, every day.
And they're high.
Yeah. So it's a much different run than what we've got here, which is, I would say I was more relaxed than I anticipated.
Nice.
You could scan 10, 15 yards ahead of you, understand, okay, this is what's coming up. You can kind of keep that mentality. Love the trails. I love the way, where I'm Virginia Beach, you have 5 trails. They are all in First Landing State Park.
Yeah.
And you can get through all of them in under 20 miles. Here, you can go on one trail for 150 miles.
Yeah, depending on the trail, absolutely. Yeah. And you can connect in for...
And yeah, it's phenomenal how many trails you have and how well kept the trails are. I was pleasantly surprised that there's no trash. We saw no trash today or yesterday.
Except for that dog poop bag today.
The dog poop bag, yeah. I still want to believe it was the women behind us.
Totally going to get that on the way back.
But yeah, I mean, the way your parks run here is phenomenal. So Colorado Park Association, Park Agency, whoever you are, kudos.
So
stop charging money.
So where we were yesterday was part of Boulder County open space.
Yep.
And so that is largely maintained by Boulder County open space in terms of trail grooming, but they're private organizations or nonprofit organizations like BIMBA, Boulder Mountain Bike Association. So the Boulder Mountain Bike Association goes out and they'll do trail work to kind of offload that from open space in mountain parks or whatever it's called, because they'll also build in. They'll say, and you may have seen this. I don't know if you were paying attention, but because a lot of people who don't live here or ride mountain bikes don't notice these things. But there are like little obstacles, kind of part and parcel of the trail, that are meant to be skills pieces for mountain bike. You could run over them, of course, but like Bimba comes out and does that sort of thing.
So yesterday, when there was a few of those hairpins that kind of went up.
Yep. Those are there on purpose. So Bimba will come out. They'll do volunteer events. You can go out. All you do is sign up, and it's like, hey, I'm going to come out, and they'll give you a McLeod tool, which is this tool that's kind of got like a hoe on the front and this fork thing on the back. Anyway, you come out and you help build trail or rehab trail or make sure that if you ever go to a park, a national park or state park or something like that, especially here, you'll see where, especially on the downhill, there'll be like a cutout that goes to the side and it almost looks like the trail is splitting off, but it's not. What they're doing is they're putting it like that, and then they're diverting water over to the side because if the water were just to go straight down, it would eat away the trail.
Got it.
So BEMBA does things like that. And in the Parks Association, and it was what I was telling you, like rec centers here in Colorado, just your general public recreation centers are like amazing. And because it's that fitness and that outdoor thing that we take very seriously. And it's not that other places don't. So I'm certainly not making a judgment call on other places, but like these are priorities here. And so the parks and the trails and things like that are part and parcel of that. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's a good trail. Picture Rock is a good trail that if you're here for a day, I mean, the problem is I'm not going to say if you're here for a day, go run that trail. I'm not. But if you want to, it's a good trail to run. I mean, there are hundreds of other trails right here that you could go and do. And so that one in particular, because it's not like what we did today, you get out of the car, you're like, oh my God, it's stunningly beautiful. And then you're just going straight uphill. You know, it's a much different thing.
It is.
So
today's run?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
There's not many words. If anybody's out there is on Instagram,
yeah,
check my Instagram.
Check mine too, because it'll be up here in a minute.
The lightning strikes.
Yes.
Sitting on the top of the pass.
I'll find this picture.
Finding. Well, how far was that lightning? A couple miles away?
No, probably 5 miles away.
5 miles away?
Yeah.
But, I mean, you could just... Bang!
Like, look at this. This is no filter. Dead serious.
Yeah.
No filter, no nothing. That is right from the top of the run, basically. Yeah. Apparently I can't hold my phone still. But yeah, I mean, it's incredible. And the view, so what we did today was we went to, in Nederland, Colorado, Nederland, where Eldora Ski Resort is. So it's 45 minutes, give or take, from here. One of the most popular trailheads up there is the Hessie Trailhead, Hessie. And on the same road to the Hessie Trailhead, you can get off, or you go past Hessie Trailhead, and you wind up at the 4th of July Trailhead. And that's what we did today, because we were heading for Arapahoe Pass. And that has a lot more, relative to Picture Rock, it's much more diverse. Like, you do have some of that dry, compact single track.
There were some routes.
There's some routes.
Little flashback to the East Coast up there.
Very rocky. There's open scree, because at some point in there you hit 12,000 feet.
Yep.
So you get to a spot where you're above tree line, and so the same trees. Fun little tidbit: the same trees that would be like a ponderosa pine that's like 50 feet tall or whatever it is. Here at 5,000 feet, up there are like bushes. They're like this tall. Because there's no oxygen. Right? Well, there's not no oxygen, but there's less oxygen. But the thing so I've run that trail only one time before, and we'll talk about that in a second. But like, I've done that trail only one time before, and pretty immediately, within the first half mile, you're just like, so, I mean, on the way there, I live here, and I'm taken back by the view. But then you get a half mile up and you're just like, oh my God, and there's this ridiculous waterfall that's coming down the side of a mountain. Yeah, sorry.
How many times did I take my phone out?
Oh, I know. It's like 100. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. The trail today was one of those where every 10 minutes it was like, you're looking the same mountain from a slightly different angle, and it's a different beautiful beast.
You said that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you go, and this was very steep. So for me, I won't speak for you, I'll let you speak for you, but for me, this trail was not particularly runnable on the way up. And even a lot of places on the way down, it was a little sketch. Today, Sydney, my daughter, who's 12, was with us. And so there are a few 12-year-olds that do that sort of thing, but kudos to her. But I didn't want to push the envelope a little more to kind of like a-hole dads trying to haul ass down.
I'm going to be real honest. Baby Gearist has graduated from Baby Gearist.
Yeah.
Today's run. I mean,
she's a monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. So, But as we got up, you don't really run it. I mean, again, if you're like Sage or Tony Capricci or something like that, you can run that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Not this guy. Not this guy so much.
To that point,
Yeah.
we got up to, what,
11.9.
11.9, and there was a trail that went straight up the ridge, uphill, directly uphill.
Yes, I'll show you a picture.
And I said, Brandon was like, hey, if you want to get 12, that way. I said, I'll be back in 10 minutes.
So,
yeah.
Go ahead.
I take off. I say take off. Let's be real. I start going maybe 10-minute miles, like just, I'm going to go up there real quick. What was it? I lasted, 90 seconds?
Wherever, it was like 100 yards, give or take. It was...
God, I hope I can run 100 yards in 90 seconds. But yeah, it was not very far. Maybe a quarter mile at best.
Yeah.
Before I was like, okay, I'm going to just power hike the rest of this because, one...
You're 12,000 feet.
You're at 12,000 feet. Two, it wasn't flat.
No.
It was 12,000 feet and it went straight uphill. I mean, so I was like, okay, rock and roll.
So this, I'll show you guys. So this right here is Arron. So what you can't see is that little dot right there. Here, I'll zoom in. That little dark dot, that is Arron running on that particular thing. Sorry, I'm trying to coordinate with my phone. So it was like the views up there. Again, please follow both of us on Instagram. Like the views up there were so ridiculous. I mean, this is that trail, so you can see kind of the trail that he was running right there.
Yeah, it's like the spine of a ridge. And it went, I mean, one of the coolest things I've ever done.
Yeah.
And you get up there, and there's a few false summits.
Yep.
And as soon as my watch hit a little over 12, I was like, all right, this false summit is my summit, so I'm good. But you get up there, and to see blue skies on one side and lightning and torrential weather on the other, and then go, all right, maybe we should go, and then to start going.
So we started to come down today, and so Sydney had put on, we had a jacket that she forgot her jacket, so she wore mine, just like a light. It's not waterproof, nothing like that, nothing to be called like an actual shell, but she put it on just to stay a little warm because it was windy. There was weather rolling in, like kind of northwest of us was this front, and we could see it, and I showed you those pictures of the lightning. We saw this before Arron went up there, but what it appeared to be was kind of moving away from us. And if you're from Colorado or any place, frankly, any place that's got mountains like that, summit fever is a challenging thing, because what you do is your ego goes, dude, I want to go there. And then the weather comes in and you go, but I'm right there. And then you wind up in an untenable situation. Like when you're up above tree line and there's lightning, you're a bag of water. Like you're asking to be hit.
You are the coolest thing to hit.
Yes, you're the lightning rod. And in fact, we'll talk about this in a minute, but Arron is doing a thing tomorrow, and I was just like, you're going to be good, you're going to be fine, it's going to be awesome, but just be aware that if weather rolls in, you need to bail and not and set your ego aside on those things, because it's like the consequences are pretty high. And so today we started to come down, and we got to this one point. We're kind of moseying down because it's scree, right? I mean, it's like
there's a lot of snow up there still.
There's a lot of snow, and so there's snow fields and things like that. We took traction, some micro spikes and things like that. Thanks Catula and Yatrax actually. And what was interesting though is the rocks that you're on. So you have rocks that are like regular gravel size, river rock size, up to like things like that are like this, that are more ankle breaky.
Yeah, those softball ones, those grapefruit ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the ones that hurt.
You step on it and your foot just goes over because they're not big enough to sit in the ground to not to stay still when you step on them. And there are of course a lot of those too, but it's like you're kind of dealing with so many different ways of just so many different types of things that are underfoot, and trying not to, frankly, eat shit the whole time. But we're walking down, kind of like navigating this stuff. And I turn around to say, I think you were up front, or somebody, you or me were up front. Well, I think I was up front.
Yeah, at one point I felt a raindrop, and I go, was that rain?
Yeah. And I think I was like, I don't know, maybe. And then I turned around. You said something else to me. And Sydney was in between us. I turned around and we were talking about something, and then right overhead, this big bolt of lightning was like skoosh, and then it instant this huge clap of thunder. I was like, and zip it and haul ass.
Bye.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
And it was like, get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah.
Because when you're above tree line, you just don't mess around. And then it started hail.
Yes.
That wasn't great.
Pea-sized hail on the back of the neck. Not recommended.
There's nothing to break it out. There's nothing to slow it down. And the first time we kind of got to this spot, and there's a lot of ponderosa pines, and so Sydney and I kind of like whenever we went for a while actually, and then it got heavy. And Sydney and I stepped over to the side, and we're like, we're just gonna hang out under these boughs of this tree a little bit. And Arron was standing in the middle of the trail, and he's like, "Feel great, man. I'm living the full Colorado experience." Yes. And then like 2 minutes later, you're like, this is a little bit heavy.
Yeah.
And
Colorado experience had.
Done. I'm good. Check. And so it died off. We went down a little bit more, and then it got really heavy, and I actually filmed a little bit of that. Arron, how's your hailstorm experience here running in Colorado?
Super awesome and wonderful.
Hey, Sid.
Loving every minute.
It's hailing, so we're hiding under some ponderosa pines. We got to this part where it was super heavy, the part you just saw in the video, and we'd all just kind of like stepped aside because it wasn't huge hail. I mean, we can get like 3-inch hail here.
Yeah.
This wasn't huge, but it was solidly pea-sized and moving.
Not comfortable.
Not comfortable.
Not comfortable.
And
neither. So I had a shell that I could have pulled out, but I didn't.
Yep.
You didn't have a shell because Sydney had yours.
Yep.
Wasn't worth spending the effort.
No.
To. I will say the look that one dude gave us as he passed us as we're sitting on the tree.
Well, we had passed him.
Yes.
We kind of did this leapfrog thing with him, and he's like, obviously an experienced older gentleman, and I'm an experienced, slightly less old gentleman. And I don't know about the gentleman part. And I had the gear, but Sydney forgot her thing. But yes, it was quite the rookies.
Yeah,
look.
Totally felt like an amateur.
Yes.
Like amateur hour on the mountain.
100%. I'm sure he's a lovely guy. If you're watching, what's up, bro?
Appreciate the heads up.
Yeah. But once we kind of hit that, it was just down the hill, and I mean there was a lot more water because it's still, you're kind of high alpine. But I will say Arapahoe Pass, if you want that breathtaking view out of the box that you really don't have to go very far for. We went 7.5 miles.
I mean, it's 3.5 to get to the pass where you can just, I mean, and from the pass you can go
anywhere.
3-4 different directions.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
100%.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So like that, the ability to see this kind of view, because a lot of people, we were talking about this too. There are a lot of people that look at certain states. Oddly, I don't think that people look at Utah as being quite as cold as Colorado, even though there's easily as much.
I think a lot of people think Utah desert.
Yeah, which is fair. I mean, but like I'm here to tell you. So right now it's June 17th. It was 86 degrees today when we got down the hill, but we were walking in snow up at the top, and it was not 86 degrees. In fact, I think when we got back in the car, it was 51 or something like that.
It was definitely colder at the top. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah,
my fingers were frozen.
Yeah. So like, when you come to Colorado, people expect that breathtaking view, where you just get out of the car and you're like, holy crap! And those exist. Like I was talking to you about going to Rocky Mountain National Park and Trail Ridge Road. If you've been there, it's amazing. In fact, if you've been to Trail Ridge Road, which is I think the highest please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, the highest maintained road in the country.
Oh.
I think. Yeah, it's like 12,000 feet. And so like, you do get those views up there and you can drive to them. but that kind of view, that's not the only place. And where we were today, you're you're out of the car 10 minutes, and it's like,
oh, yeah. Once you got through that first clearing of trees,
Yeah.
which was what, half a mile up?
yeah, something like that.
I mean, you look left and it's just
Yeah.
I mean, God's playground. Colorado is nothing but a giant adult playground.
It really is. I mean,
I shouldn't even say adult. Playground, period.
fair. There are fewer sex swings than an actual adult playground,
Fair
from what
enough.
you told me.
Fair enough.
Got that part.
Fair enough.
So, that particular trail, it's super epic. It's, again, just like, I can't say enough. Yeah, it's hard. It's steep. If you want to go there and run it, there was a guy behind us, the dude that
The long pants?
yeah.
He power hiked up fast and then he bolted down.
But I think if you didn't see, so because you were behind me for the first half of the way up or whatever it was, he was behind you for a while.
Yeah.
But he wasn't behind you, and then all of a sudden he appeared. And when he appeared, he was walking.
Yeah.
And I think that I don't know, I'm sure, again, a lovely guy, different guy than the other person. But, like, I think he was like, I'm going to run this. Because I've done that before. On that trail, the first time I did that, I was like, sweet, let's run this. You run a quarter mile, and you're like, no.
Unless you live at 10,000 feet,
Yeah.
it's hard to run up there.
It's very hard. And we were talking about that, too. Right? So, like, the stop-start thing.
100%. For anybody who hasn't been up here. Wildly different.
Very.
I mean, home, I stop. I catch my breath.
Yeah.
Up here, especially at 11,000 feet, when I stopped, I felt like I lost my breath and got dizzy.
Yep.
So, wildly different
Yeah,
scenario.
there's no, you're stopping, like you said, you're stopping to catch it, it's just not there. Like, you can take on all the air that you want, but there's no oxygen in it, right? I mean, it's a much different animal. And then if you stop too long, lactic acid builds up in your muscles. You go to start and you feel like you've never walked before. But if you don't, and if you don't get enough rest, you're stopping for a second. You, for some reason, lose your breath when you stop. And then you go to start again and your body's like, what are you doing? You know?
Slow that train back down.
Yeah, and it's setting your ego aside. And I'll also say, kind of as more of a blanket statement, if you're gonna come out to a place that, whether it's here or not, whatever, if you're gonna go to a place you're not familiar with, set the ego part aside and listen to your body, because a lot of people come here, they don't drink enough water, they get some craft beer, start drinking the craft beer, and they don't live here. What are you drinking now? What is this? This is a different beer.
This is a different beer. Outer Range, some Steezy double dry hopped IPA.
Boom.
It's Steezy.
Steezy?
It's Steezy.
What does steezy mean?
I have no idea, but it's delicious.
It's very steezy, you guys. So when you come out here, though, setting your ego and your expectations, because I've seen people come out, they're like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and you go, okay. And I live here, and I'm like, sure.
I could very easily see anybody out there, if this offends you, tough. A ton of trail runners coming out here and saying, "Oh, I'm gonna run up to 13,000 feet."
That does not happen.
No, you can't. I don't physiology or
Physics?
Physics? No.
Physiology.
Like your body physiology. Like,
sure.
Yeah.
Let's go with
the
that.
whole your anatomy. It just doesn't work like that.
Mm-mm.
Like you can't.
You can't. Well, you can't absorb oxygen efficiently enough if you don't live. Well, if you live at sea level, it's much different. It's much different.
It's wild.
I have family that's come here. They stand up out of a chair. They're like sitting on the couch for a bit. They stand up out of the chair, like, holy crap, because it floors you.
It does, and I will say, I am so happy Sydney came.
Yeah.
Because I would have been that guy that was like, dude, let's book it up here.
Yeah.
Let's get up and down in like an hour and be done with it.
Yeah.
And I would have been the dude, 10 minutes up. only a half a mile and like in the fetal position on the side of the trail.
But did you see? So there was a group of dude bros
that left a solid 30 minutes before us.
30 minutes before us, and we pretty much caught them. We would have caught them except for we slowed down for the snowfields.
Yep.
The bottom first. But at one point, I don't know if you were watching this. One of them was like, "I'm gonna jog ahead."
Oh,
did you see that?
He stopped.
Like 50 yards.
Yes.
He was just like, he just stopped. He was like tanked. He was like rolled up his tank top a little bit, and he stopped. And God love them. I'm sure they're lovely. Everybody's lovely people. Who cares? But like, you got to set the ego aside for that sort of thing, because nature doesn't care. Your body doesn't care how hard you think you are. You know, I talked about somebody, I think last show or the show before that, where this person who's so just fatally arrogant that they're like, you'll never beat me in a race because over time, because I'll just push myself and I just won't stop.
Yeah.
And I go, here's the thing. That's your brain saying that. Your nature doesn't care. Your body will break. Your body will break. And then I think I brought up Goggins.
Yeah.
David Goggins. If you guys aren't familiar, Google David Goggins. Goggins talked about his first ultra where he was like drinking protein shakes and like saltines.
Yeah.
Or something like this. And he almost broke. Like he could have died. He said, I believe, and if you remember this, correct me if I'm wrong, but his ex-wife had to, because he was crapping blood, she had to like put him in the trunk of their car because he couldn't walk and all this stuff, because he did exactly that. He's a Navy SEAL. He's like, I'm hard. I can do this. There's nothing going to stop me, yada, yada. But guess what? Nature doesn't care what this or this says.
It got him to the finish line. His brain got him to the finish line.
His brain got him to the finish line.
His body
almost died.
Got him to the ER.
Yeah, straight up.
So
and like, I think that I've done it. I mean, that's why I'm talking about. Like, I've done it. I've been that guy. I go, I got this, and I push and I push and I push, and it just, there's no sense. It's like we talk about heart rate training. We were talking about this the other day. Heart rate training and coming in and finding a static metric for the way that you train, right? Using your heart rate, because whether Arron is at 0 feet and running dead flat, or here at 12,000 or 11,900 feet and going pretty steep, probably 10% grade, up to 12,000, your heart rate is your heart rate no matter what. It's right there, static.
Yep.
You know?
That is a common metric that you can use.
Yeah. Pace doesn't work, because pace at sea level for the same effort is for the running from 11,900 to 12,000 feet here, the same effort you could be running an 8-minute mile, sub 8 minute easily at sea level.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
So I'm actually curious. So if you guys are watching and listening, I'd love to hear your comments. I mean, what can you tell us how you were training? What are those metrics that you use? Is it rate of perceived exertion? Because I actually use rate of perceived exertion a lot, but that's because I know, to some degree anyway, it used to be much more accurate, but I know where my heart rate is. I know where my zones are, so I can like frame those out based on exertion.
Anybody who hasn't been running for 3-4 years should not be using perceived rate of exertion. Yeah. Because you don't know.
You don't.
Period. I don't care who you are, you don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been running now for 6-7 years, like consistently, pretty well. I mean, doing ultras. I can now go on a run without a watch, and I would be in my heart rate zone if that's my goal. By effort level. Yeah. But I use heart rate a lot. I use time. I don't use distance anymore as I need a 5-mile run. I need a 45-minute run. Right. I need an hour run.
Because it's time on feet aspect too.
Exactly.
Right.
But yeah, you can run an 8-minute mile up here. If you can run an 8-minute mile at 6,000 feet, that's the effort is going to be a 6-minute mile at 0 feet, and it's going to be a 12-minute mile at 12,000 feet. Yeah,
and that's where that setting aside of the ego to a static metric like that, in my opinion,
heart rate. Yep.
Yeah, it's so much easier. On some level, it's harder because you're essentially letting your ego get kicked in the nuts and going, I am failing, because your definition of success or failure is based around a specific pace as opposed to effort. But you're not failing. And I think that's the tricky part.
If you're running at 12,000 feet and you're worried about time, you're doing it wrong. I'm going to tell you right now, you're doing it wrong.
You're totally wrong. So,
I mean, it's about the joy.
It is.
Find joy living, find joy running, find joy at elevation.
Find joy living.
You know.
And that's the thing, when you can set aside that, there's a mosquito, when you can set aside the ego to the degree that you're just there in the moment. And this sounds such hippy-dippy BS, but honestly, when you can set that aside and you can just be like, you know what, man, you said this to me today. We're whatever point we're above 11,000 feet. Aaron turns to me and goes, you know, man, why don't you do this like this particular type of thing every single day? Every single day, because it's so epic. And I was like, well, I mean, time. I have children and a job and, you know, all these things. But it's like, you're right. You set aside the ego part. You find joy in that moment in what you're doing. And I find, like, even Picture Rock. I mean, Picture Rock, there's at the picnic table part. So there's a Picture Rock Trail is named for the sandstone that is there. Did we get him? No.
I don't know.
There's a mosquito flying around me. Is named for the sandstone that is there. And so as over the millennia, the kind of water would drip through the sandstone, it would actually paint these very cool like patterns and things on the sandstone. And it's beautiful. And it's quarried and it's like used in like the Capitol and things like that here in Colorado. But when I get to that picnic table, it's about 2 miles up from the trailhead.
Yep.
But every time it's like this funnel down, that view there is amazing.
Oh, it's wild.
I've run that 200 times probably to that point, and every single time I have to stop and I turn around. I'm like, man, frankly, there's probably easily 10 pictures on my Instagram just of that, because it's so beautiful. Because I try my best, and sometimes I actually have to say it to like verbally say, okay, stop for a second. Take this second to be here. You know what I'm saying?
Be present in where you are.
Yeah.
But the skies you get out here.
Oh, God.
The background. I don't care if you run the same route 100 days in a row.
No.
You're going to get 100 different skies.
We were in my driveway, like right here last night, and it was ridiculous. Because the sun set, so this is east behind me. The west is over here. And what happens is the sun will set over here, but it'll reflect back here behind us, and so you're seeing these incredible different, like they're blues and purples and oranges.
The orange glow behind the. I mean,
it's ridiculous.
I'm
very biased. I love Colorado. God love the water. I'm from Hampton, Virginia, which is about 30 minutes north of where Arron lives, and I love the water. I love it a lot. We'll be there at the Outer Banks here in a few weeks. But like for me, like the mountains, and this is going to sound cliche and stupid, but it's fine. For me, the mountains, that's where my soul is. It really and truly is.
I said it on the trail today. You could get addicted to those mountains.
Hard.
100%.
Hard.
100%.
Yeah.
It's anybody who surfs out there. Every time you go down the mountain from a peak, it's like getting your first barrel.
Yeah.
It is one of the most gnarly experiences to climb that high.
Oh, yeah.
See the world for what it is.
Yeah.
And then go back down.
Yeah.
And that trip up is 100% different than that trip down. Well,
and then, I mean, you saw me today, and maybe this is just a Brandon thing, but like, I think I got him. I'm going, over here is this, over here is this, over here is this peak. And I always wondered when I first moved here, I was like, how can whoever this person is, this imaginary person that I'm talking to, how can they go, well, this is this peak, this is this mountain, over here is this trail, this is what happened here. But it's because you get out and you experience it. And you go,
yeah.
You go, like, we got to this one point up there, there's this picture from probably 2016, I think, where I went up to Arapahoe Pass, where we were today, with Sadie, And we walked out today at this one spot, and I'm like, this little pond, we're standing in this kind of like runoff pond right as we broke into alpine tundra. And when I was up there last, 2016, Sadie, my dog, my border collie, she was up there, and I was like, she stood in this pond. I took this amazing picture. It was at golden hour, which if you don't know what golden hour is relative to photography, please Google it. And I was like, this is exactly what we did here. And you have these experiences that are indelibly marked on your being, you know?
Anybody who's gone out from their couch and run 5K out of their living room, right?
Yeah.
You can do that same loop 1,000 times and not remember one of them.
Yeah.
You go up Arapahoe Pass. I don't care who you are. You remember every one of those, every trip.
Every bit. Even today, we were like, hey, didn't we... Because there's at the very bottom, and then maybe a half mile past that, there are these boards that you walk across because the way that it's set up has to do with... there's a lot of runoff because of the glaciers that are up there. And so they put boards in certain spaces so the trail just doesn't get overly worn. And it's like... I've been over that twice. The last time was in 2016. The second time was today. And I go, oh, well, we're about to come up on these next boards because it's like your muscle memory.
Yeah.
Right? It's weird.
It's great.
I love to hear if you guys have trails like that. Like, what are those things, those intangibles that stand out to you? So Arron lives right in Virginia Beach near First Landing State Park. And there, maybe if you're somebody that's running there, you go out and you're like, because that's around Cape Henry, right?
Yep.
You go out and you're like, oh, well, over here, there's a barracks there too, right?
So
there used to be.
Yes. So if you go north side of Shore Drive,
right,
there's barracks, there's campgrounds. But we've got Bald Eagles, we've got the water, you've got Long Creek, you've got... I mean, I take it for granted because I run it 5 days a week.
Yeah, yeah.
Like 100%. For me, it's like, I've got to go out here again. I hate the road.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for anybody who's not from Virginia Beach who comes, it could be mind blowing.
Yeah. So what are those things for you guys? Like, is it? Oh, I was here. I saw this amazing sunset over the water. Maybe I saw a water spout. We were talking about that earlier.
Oh, yeah.
I saw this bald eagle. He came down, or an osprey that came down and got a bluefish or croaker, whatever it is. What are those things? Like, what parts of your adventures, and I don't want to say runs because I don't think that's fair.
Most memorable moments outside on the trail.
Yeah.
Right? Like what you have one memory that always comes back. What is it?
Yeah. No one goes, dude, I hit the start button on the treadmill and I was like, I was carried away.
Today's gonna be awesome.
Today is such a good day. I was carried away on the treadmill.
And don't get me wrong, if you're out there, wrong podcast for you.
Right. And hey, Susie, the Peloton instructor, I don't want to knock you. I'm sure you're lovely. Everybody,
you're awesome.
But it's like, so what is it that ties you guys watching, listening? Send us notes, please. Let us know. Like, what is it that ties you to these things? Because, I mean, honestly, I'm on one of these kind of like follow the chain back guys. Whether that's follow the money in some things, or whether that's follow your instinct, because as Homo sapien, right, as the progeny of Australopithecus and Homo erectus and all these different creatures that preceded Homo sapien, if we go back far enough, what were those things that moved the needle when we were just worried about survival, when we were less worried about survival than who punched who in Housewives of Atlanta or whatever the hell it is.
Oh,
you know, like, I mean,
you didn't catch the latest episode?
I did not. I was watching the Housewives of Salt Lake City or whatever it is. But like, what moved the needle then? Like, I can tell you that for me, it's like when my daughter was born, 2010, Sydney. It was a C-section. It's a whole thing. It's a whole story I won't get into. But it was a C-section. And the nurse goes, she calls me over and she goes, well, because she had to clean her up, you know, there's some coming and all this stuff. Cleans her up and she's like, well, here you go. I was like, what do you mean? Yeah. She was like, she's yours. I was like,
who?
Pardon me. I was like, get the fuck out of here. It's like, you're going to let me take her?
That is mine?
I was like, wait a second. Not do I have, but like that was such a profound moment for me that when my son was born just 2 years ago, it was like, all right, I've been here. I know what to do. And you just feel this resurgence of that same original feeling. Like, what is it? What are those sense memories? I can smell Bazooka Joe bubblegum. Bubblegum.
From T-Ball?
The ones that would chip your teeth, the little rectangles with the comic.
Yeah.
Dude, it'd break a tooth, right? I can smell that and taste that and feel that, and if I were to smell it, taste it, or feel it today, and I haven't had one of those in 30 years, I'd be like, right there. Like, what are those core memories that bring you back to that place of joy? And I feel like we forget that so much because we're so worried about...
Dude, who's liking your Instagram post?
Yeah, dude.
Who's viewing your TikTok video?
Well, then even right now, I mean, look where we are right now. So it's June 17th, 2021. Gas prices in the United States of America are more than $5 a gallon. So when you go to drive to a trail, because we were 4-wheel drive point today, we were definitely sub 10 miles to the gallon at one point, because you're going uphill in 4-wheel drive, all this stuff. Are you sitting there going, holy crap, I'm just blowing through gas? And I get it, believe me. Or are you going, this is the means to an end? And the end is me communing, if you will, again, I hate to be all cheesy and stuff, communing with the world around you and just finding that joy.
Oh.
You know?
We could talk another hour about how those runs up that ridge line are therapy.
Yeah. And even when you're taking your kids to the pool or something like that, I'm taking to Sydney to go over and hang out with a friend over the summer, whatever it is, you can't get that back.
No.
And so, I get it. There's a pragmatism about putting a dollar amount to the gasoline that's taken to get you there, but also, is that time that you get to spend with your child, or that time you get to spend in nature, or whatever it is that worth it? To me, it is. You know.
1,000%.
Maybe I'm a little biased.
No.
Yeah.
If you don't agree, go elsewhere.
So we're gonna do two things right now. So
yes.
first, we're gonna look at some gear real quick. We're gonna briefly touch on what Arron is going to do tomorrow, and I'm just now springing this on you, by the way. So we're gonna touch on what you're doing tomorrow, and then we'll record another one of these on Sunday.
Yep. Before
you leave, we'll release these kind of like this one we'll do. Anyway, we'll release them kind of boom, boom. And we'll talk about what you did tomorrow, what we're going to do on Sunday, and there you go. Before we do that, let's look at some gear. So, we got a couple things here. Aaron's killing mosquitoes. He's like a ninja over here. So this thing...
Blind ninja.
...is called the Badfish by WAW, spelled W-A-W.
Yep.
Right? I feel like there's a mosquito in my head.
Yeah, it was right there.
Right there. Did I get it?
No.
Okay. Well, way to go, me. So this thing right here, and again, by the way, if you're listening to this on whether it's Stitcher, Spotify, Overcast, whatever it is, check out the show notes. So we'll have show notes to all of these things. This thing right here, so I grew up in Hampton, Virginia. Just if you Google it, Hampton. Arron lives in Virginia Beach, Virginia. We both have body surfed? Sure.
Surfed?
Body surfed more than our fair share in our lives. Him probably more than me.
100%.
And I was trying to tell Sydney, I was like, well, here's this thing you need to do. Because for whatever reason, doesn't like boogie boarding or body boarding or whatever you want to call it, right?
And for all your East Coasters, it's called dick dragging.
Oh. So, but she's for some reason not afraid of body surfing. I like body surfing because she likes it and whatever. I've always liked it, and you don't need any equipment for it. That said, I got some equipment for it. So this thing right here, the Badfish by WAW, this is a hand plane. So this thing is very specifically meant, and I'll tell you where this came from. Sydney and I was watching a YouTube video. I'm not going to say who, mainly because I don't remember, but also because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but it was these two guys in France somewhere. There goes my computer. In France somewhere, and they were like, oh, hey, here's how you body surf. And they go, well, you start to swim into the wave and you do this and you do this. And
here's the exact wrong way to body surf.
Yes, and then you put both your hands behind you.
So you look like this going down the
wave. So you're like this. And if you can't see this right now, it's brilliant. It's going to be a thumbnail. So we say that, and I'm like, that is horse caca. So I showed her all these videos, and this one guy was like, hey, you should maybe check out this hand plane too, because with your leading arm, especially if you're going kind of across a right breaking wave, right? You take that leading arm, you put your hand down, and it's actually, and if you're watching the video, it's actually in front of you, and it's digging and kind of pulling you almost, right? It's kind of pulling you across the wave.
Well, it's like the idea of a foil, right? So you put it down into the wave. You feel like you're being dragged.
Yep.
It's pulling you, but what it's also doing is lifting your body out of the water.
You're planing.
Exactly. You get to plane, and you take the weight off of your body, and you're putting it on the plane, and you can then guide yourself through the wave. It's a phenomenal. Anybody out there who gets a chance, do it.
Yeah, and so these guys had kind of evolved from using just your hand, which is fine, especially if you're a good swimmer. I'm a good swimmer. Since my car crash a few years ago, it's a little more challenging, let's just say. But Sydney's a good swimmer. But I decided to get this thing. So the first thing I should say is that this hand plane is made from all recycled ocean plastic. So it is literally pulled out of the ocean, turned into what you see here. They actually donate part of their proceeds to 1% for the planet. It's really great. I think this company is actually based out of Australia. It says, Australian made. It's actually made with something called Ulex, Y-U-L-E-X, pure. And so anyway, what this allows you to do is get that hand out there and really pull into that plane. So I'm excited about this. Got kind of a wrist leash here. And frankly, what it looks like is a tiny little bodyboard.
If anybody can see, it's got a concave on it, so you can actually turn into the wave when you want to.
So so if you're just listening, basically what it looks like is if I'm holding my fingertips toward you, it's concave, kind of like a dome, right to left across the hand, right? So it allows you to pull that body across the wave wherever you want it to. Shoots barrels, all these kind of things that you can do that you could do with your hand, but it just kind of adds an ease of use. So
it's your easy button for body surfing.
It is indeed. So I'm very excited about using that. So the second thing that we're going to talk about, this is from 100%. So if you're not familiar with 100%, check them out. I forget what their website is actually off the top of my head. Amazing, like high quality. We see this.
Here it is.
Oh, wait, you
right
have
here.
it? What is it? Boom. 100 PERCENT.com. So 100, the number 100. So this, what's interesting is in the past few years, we've always had the legacy brands like your Ray-Bans, your Oakleys, your Maui Gyms, Spy, Dragon. And so there have been this kind of increase in other brands that are newer on the scene, like your Electric, your Costa. Costa is probably one of the bigger ones that's come up in past several years. Gooder, Knockaround.
Yeah.
Right? And so of those that have come out, have also been Roka, R-O-K-A. If you're not familiar with Roka, check them out. POC. And then what we're looking at right now is 100%. Great glass. So this is the Norvik. So I will tell you guys, I have an itchy eye, but that's okay. These, I'm not going to take them out right now, but in this little case right here, there's a swappable lens that goes into a clear lens. Great glass, amazing field of vision. Interestingly, you've got kind of the retractable temple shields here. And so these, from the perspective of being even like a skimo glass or a backcountry touring glass, these are going to be great with keeping a lot of the snow blindness out. Amazing field of vision. You're looking at me right now. Again, really great glass, classic line. It's not super retro. There is a little bit of a retro element to it with the higher kind of across the brow there.
Your 12-year-old, as soon as you put them on, said, "Dad, I want to wear your glasses."
She's like, "Dad, yeah." And then she took them and promptly set them down in the lenses inside. Which have not made me happy. So those are a piece of gear. I took these today and I was like, I'm going to wear these. And there were definitely times, especially with those snow fields, you're like snow blind. So I put them on. Otherwise, then they sat on my head and got rained on for the last half of that run. So that was exciting. So the final thing that we'll mention right now, This is Zealios, Zealios. This is skincare. I have not tried this yet, but I'm going to show you guys because I'm excited about it for a couple reasons. One, I like getting with a brand that works for me. So I've been using a lot of Duke Cannon. I talked about this recently.
Yes.
But I like getting with a brand that works, that has great product in terms of ingredients, that is not trying to push some larger message, all that kind of nonsense. In this case, I'm gonna hold up a couple things and then I'll kind of tell you my favorite thing about this. So we've got Zealios shampoo, conditioner. They sent this big giant kit over. We've got kind of the body lotion here. Let's see. I'm getting there.
Here, let me see.
hand some of these to you.
Yeah.
Body wash, which also removes chlorine and sweat buildup. So a lot of chlorine will actually kind of diminish some of your vitamin C processing. So that's exciting that gets rid of it. And then down here we've got this guy, which I'm pumped. It's called Betwixt. It is an anti-chafing cream.
Ooh.
Would you like one of these for tomorrow?
Betwixt my nuts?
That's right. Betwixt your cheeks, whatever you want. So these I'm pumped about. I like that. And it says literally, on the back.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you haven't felt it, you will.
That's right. So here's the favorite thing that I have in here. Not gonna lie. So a couple of years ago, I went with my then fiance, now wife, now girlfriend. I mean,
we went
backward a little bit. We went to Hawaii. Her father is former Air Force, who's stationed in Pearl Harbor, and so we went to Hanauma Bay, and anywhere in Hawaii. And this should be, frankly, anywhere in the world. And I don't really get on very mental. I don't get on very many environmental high horses. I think it's respect your planet. However that works for you, please do that. But in the case of particularly Hanauma Bay, again, which I'll put a note to, there are a lot of reefs there. It's an extinct volcano.
Are you going to tell me that's reef safe?
It is reef safe. So check this out. So reef safe sun barrier, SPF 50, right? So the reef safe aspect, if you've ever snorkeled, and the first time I went really snorkeling was in the Bahamas. I love the Bahamas, and it's way more colorful than Hawaii. But in Hawaii, the reefs have been like destroyed. They're just gray, and there's no color. Or little color, and got all love to Hawaii. It was amazing. Like, I still loved it. It's still amazing. But like, apart from the fact that you have a bunch of tourists standing on reefs, which is just horrifying. The biggest thing, my pet peeve about that is that before you can enter Hanauma Bay State Park, you have to watch this video, and they're like, but check it. If you don't speak English, come over here and get one of these things and listen to this video. It's like 5 minutes. In whatever your native tongue is, and they're like, don't stand on the reefs, don't sit on the reefs, don't do this to the reef, don't wear non-reef safe sunscreen.
What people don't understand is you touch a reef with your bare hands, and that spot you touched,
dead,
done,
gone, and you've got people there. So you're watching, they're standing on the reef. So I know that the walking on the reef sunscreen is not going to help with that. But I will say that the fact that we're paying attention to these reefs, to these kind of like microflora and fauna, like a coral is fauna, right? It's an animal. So when we start paying attention to these things, this is part of respecting what we have. And frankly, it's not hard for you to pick up a reef safe sunscreen or a mineral sunscreen that is also reef safe. So reef safe sunscreen. I have not tried this yet, I will say. I will be, as I mentioned earlier, this is sport performance. I will be running when we're in the Outer Banks.
Yes.
And it's going to be hot.
You're going to feel like a god.
And humid. Well, a sweaty god.
Fine. So the best kind.
Oh my God. So when I'm there, though, there's no reef there per se. But it's not far off. No. I mean, Bermuda's... It's about South Carolina,
It's not necessarily about the reef as much as it's about the ocean life. Right?
It's about the ocean life, right? Because coral sustains this fish, which sustains this fish, which sustains this fish, this mammal, or whatever it is.
I'm sure if we went down that diatribe, we could probably pinpoint that the fact that all you tourists putting in the wrong sunscreen on are causing all the shark attacks.
Yeah. You hear that? You are causing shark.
I'm just saying.
Only you can prevent shark attacks. So this guy is water resistant, 80 minutes, excuse me, per application. Oil and fragrance free, non-greasy sunscreen. Dries clear, so it's not going on and being like this big film if you have that ego thing. But this sort of thing, check it, honestly. And if you're wearing a reef safe, if you pay attention to that, I'd love to hear what you guys are wearing. If you have experience with Zealios, honestly. So their website, just so you guys know, do you need glasses? I can't read this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Zealios. It's on there somewhere. Zealios. Check out their sunscreen. Check out their whole product line. But I love the fact that
it's right here. TeamZealios.com, info@TeamZealios.com.
TeamZealios.com. So check those guys out, because honestly, if they're stepping up like that, and again, they're not being preachy. When they sent us this email to check this out, they're like, hey, Brandon, here's this thing, yada yada, whatever the pitch said, and pardon me, Zealios, for not knowing off the top of my head, but they're like, XYZ, here's what we're saying, reef safe. And that hit me, because it's like what we're talking about today. It's like, if you're going to go into the backcountry,
zero fragrance.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Right?
Like nothing.
Nothing.
If you're
Wonderful.
If you're going to go into the backcountry and you're going to take a wonderfully frosty adult beverage like my Key Lime Pine Nitro that I'm drinking here, if you take that, if you can pack it in, pack it out, and it's not any different. If you're going to wear it in the water, pack that out with you.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I will jump off my soapbox.
I like that soapbox.
So, before we wrap up, two things. Arron, tomorrow, I'm taking the day off because it's Saturday. Good family stuff, and I need a day off. But he's going to be doing a place called Chasm Lake. If you're curious to see what that is, again, by the time you hear this, he will have already run it. But we probably will have already talked about it. But Chasm Lake is in, technically, Rocky Mountain National Park. It's just at the base of what's called the Diamond, which is part of Long's Peak. Really wonderful hike. It's not super runnable on the way. I guess you could, but it's similar today, and then it's steep. It's just on the not comfortable to run side of steep. Beautiful.
Yep.
The trailhead starts at 9,400 feet and just goes up from there. And so that's going to be great. And then on Sunday, you guys have heard me talk on the show before a couple times about Hall Ranch. And we're going to go do Hall Ranch. We're going to do kind of it's basically, if you're watching, it's kind of like it's like a loop, right? And then right about halfway, there's this piece of it that kind of splits off and goes up to Button Rock Reservoir. So we're going to do quite a bit of that, and our goal is to get in 15 miles total. So the Hall Ranch loop itself is about 9.8.
Yep.
And so we'll have to add an additional 2.5 as we go over to Button Rock Reservoir, Button Rock Preserve, and then 2.5 back. So that is the plan. I'm pumped up.
I'm in there like swimwear, man.
Boom. Thank you guys so much for watching episode number 14 of Gearist Grid. Go find joy living. Leave us comments. How do you find joy living? Like, how do you relate to this? Honestly, I mean, it's so hard what moves the needle for different people, because we're probably talking to a bunch of people that don't have children or nephews or grandkids or whatever it is. Like, what moves that?
Show this to those people that have kids.
That's right. That's right.
Show them it can be done.
So thank you guys so much. Arron, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I don't have any more beer, so I'll give you one of those.
Yeah.
We will talk to you guys actually probably in a couple days. Cheers. Yeah. Cheers. Thank you guys so much. Bye.